Hey guys, Micah from blackbearcustomkydex. I've got a video for you today on a sheath I just made for a JX6 companion from Bark River, designed by Chris Tanner, Prepared Mind 101. Very cool knife. I really like this thing. And so the backstory behind this particular sheath, you've already seen this exact sheath. I made it for a missionary living abroad named Brian. And Brian, after some months, decided that he wanted to sell the knife, and so I bought the knife and sheath back off him as a package deal. And so then it's just been kind of sitting in my shop for a little while until a few weeks ago, or last week, or whatever, a couple weeks ago, a guy named Darren gets in touch with me and asks if I can rebuild a sheath for his JX6, the exact same configuration. So I said, yeah, of course I can. However, if you're interested, I still have that actual sheath in my shop, and I'll sell that one to you at a reduced price because it's used. And so he said he's all about that. He thought that was a good idea. So we moved forward with it, and I told him, I got to thinking about the process that I went through to build the sheath for this one. This is the actual knife that I made the sheath for Brian, and then mailed it over to him, bought it back from all that. So anyway, it turned out to be an extremely difficult project to Kydex this knife with the same retention and not having it scratch your blade on the way in and out of the sheath and all that. You just don't see many guys out there doing it how I would consider to be correct. Not going to downplay anybody else's craftsmanship or anything like that. I just have a standard and a method and an idea in my head of what's good, and if something else doesn't match that, I'm not going to go with that. So case in point, so anyway, sorry, I'm all over the place. So I told Darren, Bark River having the slight variations between, one model to the next. Like I've made with my Gunny Hunter in 3V, I've made a sheath for another guy who has a Gunny Hunter in 3V, and the fit wasn't quite right. The blade actually his blade was slightly more stout than mine. So as he put his blade in, it started to scrape along the edges. But in mine, it works just fine. So knowing that about Bark River, as much as I love Bark River, they are my favorite production knife company, hands down. But they are semi-custom in the sense that they finish them all by hand, so there are slight variations sometimes. So that said, 99.9% of the time, I'm going to ask you to send me your Bark River, even if I own the same Bark River, same model, same blade steel, same handle scales, whatever. I think it's just a better idea because I want you to have a perfect fitting sheath, and that's not necessarily going to happen if I use my knife to mold a sheath for your knife. So hope that all made sense. So anyway, I asked Darren if he would send me his knife, so he did. And man, I don't know what these blades or the handle scales on. Excuse me, guys. Ugh. All right. Anyway, this is his. I don't know what the handle scales are, but I love those. Those are nice. This one I think is, I want to say it's burlap micarta, brown, or maybe brown canvas micarta, something like that. Anyway, these things look dope. So he sent me his, and immediately I pull it out of the sheath and could see these. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there we go. You see all the scratches down here on the grind? And it's the same way in the same spot on the other side of the blade. So that tells me that the sheath, definitively, the sheath is doing that. This is the sheath that it came in. I don't know if I don't know if Bark River does factory sheaths, and I don't know if he got this custom built from somebody else. If he did, I'm sorry for flashing anybody else's work out there. I'm not trying to tell you it's not good or anything, but you can tell right here, you can hear it, you can see it, and you can hear it, that the mouth of this is closed down such that when you put that knife in there, it's scraping against the grind. And the reason is because whoever made this cut it really deep for the finger groove, which is nice, so you can get a pretty good, you can get your hand in a good position. But yeah, there's just, it doesn't really draw smoothly. It pinches there, and I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to create enough retention behind the choil here that it would keep the knife in there. I get it. But there is a secret to this. There's a secret to making this work without having to compromise on that scratching spot. And so anyway, not everybody knows it, maybe. Not everybody's taking the time to do it. It does take a lot of time, but check this out. Now mind you, this is modified. I built this sheath for this knife, and then I went to put this knife in it, and it was a no-go. Like, no questions asked. This thing was just flopping around in there. It was loose as all get out. So I had to redo the sheath a little bit. I had to tighten it up in certain spots and make it work differently. So anyway, see that? The knife goes all the way to the handle, where the handle contour starts to interact with the Kydex. It is totally free floating. There is no scraping whatsoever. Alright, so that's important. Then as far as retention goes, you actually get a click going in. You do have, if you manually move it, I want you to see it, I want you to know, if you manually move that, it's going to have just the tiniest bit of in and out play, but you can feel it stopper and you can feel it catch on the way out as well. So it's not like it's just going to fall out or something like that. And if I can get that stupid thing to stop. It does have just the tiniest bit of rattle in it too. So these things, I might be able to take that rattle out still. I'll work on that a tiny bit more before I ship this off. But anyway, so it did come out really good. It's got ballistic one-handed draw for the most part. The thumb ramp is a little bit tiny, but that was in the interest of making sure that you had something to push off of, but it wasn't so wide on top that it would leave any room for the handle to bounce around, because that is an issue with this knife. Reason being, if you look at the tip of this handle, the ricasso, there is no contour to grip onto. It's only negative contour, meaning it's only wider here and narrower here. There's no swell or anything else to grab onto. If you look at it from an aerial view, it has just the very slightest swell at the top. So one of the things I'll tell you guys right now, if you're a Kydexer and you're watching this video, not that Kydex guys watch my stuff necessarily, but if you are happen to be watching, if you happen to be watching this video, one of the things I would recommend anyway to avoid having to deal with the scratching blade is to mold it really tight around the sides of the ricasso, because that's going to result in a little bit of pinch. Not sufficient to retain the whole thing. You still have to mold behind that choil, but it is going to help out a bit. Okay, so anyway, we got pretty good retention on this. I'm really happy with it. And originally the idea behind the sheath was it was set up to be a right-handed dangler, as well as a right-handed forward grip pocket sheath or left-handed reverse grip pocket sheath. So that's how that would work. You just grip it and rip it. And the ulti-clip facilitates the pocket draw. Now, one thing with the ulti-clip, well, actually, pretty much every element of this sheath I have either tweaked. The main body of the sheath itself I tweaked, and then the other elements I rebuilt. So let me see here. Let me get my thoughts together. So Darren, I'm gonna send you the original elements of this sheath, so that if you want to, you can plug these back in and have it exactly as it was, as far as like the outward appearance. But I just wanted to rebuild these. I wanted to have it be just crisp and clean and perfect, and I've updated a couple of my methods since building this sheath. So I redid some of the I redid the dangler attachment, and I redid well, actually I added it. Didn't have it before the ulti-clip was just through the eyelets on the side, and now it's on this kind of standoff plate, so that the center of gravity, or the balance, or whatever, the resistance point when you go to draw, is centered more on the knife. I provided 6 holes. You can't see them all, but you can see these 3 holes, and there's a matching set in line with these 2 screws, so that you'd have ride height options as well as geez, I'm struggling today, as well as lateral variation. And you can, of course, put them directly through the eyelet as well. You can have the ulti-clip attached to just one eyelet, and it'll do the same job. So yeah, you've got options there. I just wanted to rebuild and give you a better setup than you had before, or than you would have had if I just sent you the sheath as it was. So Guys, I'm so sorry for the rambling. This probably should be like 4 minutes in, but we're 10 minutes in now, so I appreciate you dealing with it. And then the last thing I modified on it was the dangler itself. Sorry, bear with me. So before I had thought, you know, I really like some thinner leather on this one just because it's a thinner sheath. So I had found this stuff and put it on there. And now looking at it, I just don't like it as much. So maybe it's just a preference thing. So I put a brand new, thicker buffalo leather dangler on there. Looking really sharp. Got the logo stamped in. Nice and crisp. And it's definitely rugged. This thing will never break. So, or at least not for many, many years. So anyway, that is what I got for you guys. I will be sending this off to Darren right quick. I told him I'd do a really quick turnaround on this for him since it's obviously I didn't have to do a ton of work. And yeah, and I won't reveal it just yet, but he told me that he's got another knife, a knife that I've been wanting for years and years and years. And so I told him that I haven't actually even had a chance to see one in person or handle it. And I made him a proposition that if he lent me that knife, not to use, but just to be able to handle it, to check it out a little bit closer up, and to make a sheath for it that I could just throw on eBay or something, that I would also make him a free sheath for that same knife. So he sent me a very, very special knife. It's one that just about everybody in the knife community wants if they don't already have, and they're extremely difficult to get. So I'm sure some of you out there are formulating some guesses. Drop those in the comment section down below. I won't necessarily say if you got it right or not, but I think it'll be fun to let you guys guess for a while. So, and I will, I'll definitely be building those sheaths pretty soon, so you won't be waiting too long on it. But yeah, anyway, I'm excited. I just want to give you that little mystery reveal there. Not reveal, but you know what I mean. I want to pose that mystery to you and let you guys guess, and that's just something fun. So, all right, guys. Sorry again for the rambling. If you like this sheath, if you like this video, hit that like button. If you like the channel, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think of this. Let me know what you think that a special mystery knife is. Definitely let me know what you think of Chris Tanner's knives, and in particular what you think of Bark River as a production company. Man, if you haven't already handled a Bark River or used one, I know the price point on a lot of them is scary. I get it. I was there too. I'm still there. But man, their knives are just so sweet, and I haven't regretted one penny of the Bark River purchases I've made. So anyway, that's my thought for the day. Actually, just real quick, just to make my point for you. So here we go. You get a good click. Basically no rattle, no play. Ballistic one-handed draw, all that stuff. Now I'm going to put this one in it. So already, before the handle's even fully touching the Kydex, it's already starting to snag, meaning this blade is wider than the other one. Going in, it's just like straight up wedging this blade inside there somewhere. That's way too hard to draw out. And yeah, I put a little scratch in the tip. I don't know if you can see that. You see that right? It stinks right there. So anyway, this is why we don't make Kydex sheaths that tight around the blade. Case in point, I can buff that out. That's not a huge deal. But, all right. Anyway, guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, and stick around for the next one. God bless.